Avian influenza has become a concern in North America. There has been new outbreaks of high-path avian influenza in the United States. High-path refers to the ability of avian influenza to cause death in poultry. To date, 231 premises have been infected with high-path avian influenza. That includes 210 commercial operations, 21 backyard flocks. This has occurred mainly in the Midwest, with Minnesota, Iowa, and Nebraska having the heaviest concentration of infection. There's been a total of 9 states that have had commercial operations that had high-path avian influenza. So far, 7.5 million turkeys, which is 3% of our production, and 42 million layers, which is 10% of our production, have been infected with high-path avian influenza. In addition, wild birds have been detected with high-path avian influenza in 14 states. In response to this high-path avian influenza outbreak, the Kentucky Department of Agriculture has issued new regulations or restrictions on poultry, and these may impact poultry producers throughout the Commonwealth. The regulations apply to live birds, but it would be best that they are followed when purchasing hatching eggs as well. Avian influenza is a risk to birds, but it's considered a low risk to humans. Only 2 wild birds, a goose and a duck, have been detected with high-path AI in Kentucky. The restrictions that were placed on poultry coming into Kentucky is that all poultry that are commingling sales events are banned. All poultry sales events are banned. These include but are not restricted to stockyards, flea markets, swap meets. What this means is that no live birds can be sold at any of these locations. This is important because many people depend on these for their sales. But these are no longer a viable way of getting rid of your poultry. In addition, there is no sale of poultry at any fair or show. The state veterinarian has decided to allow fairs and shows to continue in the Commonwealth. However, they have outlawed the sale of poultry in conjunction with those fairs and shows. What this means is that any type of sale or auction that is currently not allowed at a poultry show. This will impact how you conduct sales of champions, how you give out premiums, as well as conducting fundraisers. An additional requirement is that private sales from direct farm-to-farm movement within Kentucky is allowed. However, they must follow 302 KAR 20062 Section 7. This is an existing law, so this is not anything different. What that law will entail is that the birds either come from an NPIP facility or they all have a certification of veterinary inspection. The birds need to be tested for Salmonella pylori if they're over 4 months of age, and any hatching or eggs or chicks must originate from an NPIP flock. So these are existing laws, but the state is allowing farm-to-farm sales of poultry. In addition, we also have rules now on the entry of non-commercial backyard poultry into Kentucky. It is restricted to NPIP avian influenza H5H7 clean or AI clean facilities. Entry of non-commercial or backyard poultry from facilities within a high-path AI control zone is banned. When you go to buy poultry from an out-of-state source, you need to check to see if it has the correct classification. Where we would want to go if you want to check to see if a hatchery has the correct classification is to go to www.poultryimprovement.org/states-content.cfm. This will bring you to the National Improvement site, And this will tell you whether or not the hatchery or the place shipping you birds has the right classification. In addition, it becomes wondering if what is commercial. The state veterinarian is using the following definitions for commercial poultry. Meat-type chicken slaughter plants of 200,000 or more, table egg laying premises of 75,000 or more chickens on one premise, meat-type chicken slaughter, meat-type turkeys, the slaughter plant is 2 million or more turkeys a year, commercial meat waterfowl or upland game birds, 50,000 birds or more, raised for release waterfowl or upland game birds of 25,000 or more, and breeder flocks that produce all of the above birds. So that is what commercial. As you can see by the numbers that are presented, most everything else comes into non-commercial or backyard and must be dealt with these regulations. If you are bringing poultry into the state from a state that has had an infection with high-path AI, we need to make sure that you follow 302 KAR 2250. These are the AI requirements. These require testing of the birds before they come into the state and as an existing law. Whenever bringing birds in from an infected state, it's best to call the state veterinarian's office before trying to buy any birds from those states. We also have to worry about when we bring birds in. When we bring non-commercial or backyard poultry for private sale, or if they're going to move through the state, there must be a permit issued by the office of the state veterinarian. And the state veterinarian will issue these permits on a case-to-case basis. What that means is before you attempt to bring any birds into the state, you should call the state veterinarian's office and get the permit that is required. It's also best to check with them that the source that you're getting from them meets the standards they have outlined in these restrictions. Game birds, in this case, what I mean is pheasants, quail, chukars, require special permits. Not only do they have to come from an NPIP facilities that meet the requirements in these restrictions, but they also need a permit for transportation from the Kentucky Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. And these two permits must be obtained, one from the state veterinarian's office and one from the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. So if you're bringing birds in, whether it is to raise them or to release them for hunting events, they do require those two permits. The final restriction is on exhibits, events, shows, and fairs can only be done with birds that are intrastate movement, which means the birds have to be in the state in order to be allowed for exhibition purposes. No entry from out of state will be allowed for exhibition. What this means is that if you have birds that are coming from neighboring states and have been in the past at your shows or at the state fair, they are no longer allowed. This does not mean that you cannot buy chicks from a appropriate hatchery and raise them in Kentucky and then exhibit them at a later date. All poultry presented for exhibition are subject to inspection of Kentucky Department of Agriculture, and all existing regulations are still in place concerning the exhibition shows and fairs. The main thing is that we're going to have permits when we move birds into the state. The source of the birds must be AI clean facilities, and they must meet the requirements of the state veterinarian's office. In addition, the permit must be issued by the office of the state veterinarian. If you have any questions, the best thing to do is contact the state veterinarian's office, and their contact information is 502-573-0282. Thank you for your attention.